Well, here we are back in the workshop again with my little Triumph Tiger Cub, and I've decided to take the cylinder head off again and have a look. As we all probably know by now, I put new piston rings in it, and I know that the gaps on them are fine and the bore is good, the piston's good. I thought that the valve guides were good as well, but I'm going to check them anyway. But my main target as a culprit when I first stripped it was the massive gap in the oil control ring, which I thought was going to be the main and only culprit for the oil consumption and the smoke. But it turns out I was wrong. I'm going to get my torch on here and see in the gasket face on the cylinder barrel, hopefully you can see them, there's oil drain holes where the cylinder head rocker boxes drain down through. Obviously there's oil fed up to the rockers, and the only way out of that oil, the only way out for that oil from the rocker boxes is through these oil holes in the gasket face on the cylinder head. And if we look at this one, the inlet there, it's been repaired previously. I didn't do that. I've never really considered that or given it any thought. It seems to be, on first impressions, a good repair, but it's very slightly raised above the rest of the gasket face there on the cylinder head gasket face, and I've got a feeling it's also very close to the combustion chamber and the piston and so on, and I think oil returning from the rocker box has been getting drawn in to the cylinder past the gasket. So I'm going to have a good look at that. I'm even going to, although the compression was good and wasn't leaking, I'm going to reface this a little bit because it's a bit rough and bumpy, and also it'll give me a chance to flatten that out a little. I'll take the valves out as well and just check them on the guides. It would be foolish not to at this stage, and if all else fails, I'm in a very fortunate position of having a brand new old stock cylinder head, exactly correct for this, which if push comes to shove, it's a bare head. I'll have to put some guides in it and some valves, but it's a bare head in, well, as new condition. So if I fit that, if I have to, if I'm not happy with what I can do with this, that should get me out of trouble. So the next thing I'm going to do is get the valves out of this cylinder head, I think, clean up this gasket face and see how things are looking then. Just to add to what I've already discussed, and my favourite suspect at the moment for the oil consumption, if we look at the crown of the piston there, sorry that the light's blinking, it must be going at the same rate or a similar rate to the camera frames per second or something, but notice how the piston crown has got black all over, apart from the area adjacent to that oil way on the inlet side of the cylinder head. I'm pretty sure the oil has been washing down, and that is evidence of it going in, and obviously the oil washing over the piston has prevented any build-up of carbon there. Carbon's built up very quickly in about 50 miles because of the oil being burned, and obviously it's been snuffing the spark plug out. Well, it's also adjacent to the spark plug area as well, so oil has basically been spraying straight in and onto the spark plug there. I'm pretty sure that that's what's been happening, but as I've already said, this time I'm going to take the valves out as well and just double check those, and I'm pretty sure that, like I've said, I can either hopefully sort out this cylinder head gasket face satisfactorily, but if not, I have got a brand new cylinder head waiting in the wings. But I'd like to try and reuse this one if I can, because it's a good original one. There's no fin damage and all the threads are good, so it'd be a shame just to shelve it without at least having a go and trying to do something about this. So that's what I plan to do. Well, I've been doing some work on cleaning up the gasket face on the cylinder head for this Tiger Cub, and on the left next to it looks very grubby, but believe it or not, that's preservative. That is actually a brand new old stock cylinder head, minus the valves and guides and rockers, etc., but it is a brand new one. It's only new once. I've got it as a sort of backup if I really need to use it, but I'm hoping to have sorted this one out. And what I'm up against with this one being bored out to 60 thou oversize, it was on 60 thou oversize when I bought it back in 1977, but the bore and the piston are in excellent order. I think that's the last sort of rebore size you can go to, because after that the piston's getting very, very close to the edges of the gasket there. And I do remember on occasion when I'd had the head off this one previously, that sometimes you could start up and get a knocking noise for about 30 seconds or so as the piston sort of punched its way past the edge of the gasket a little. But I've got the piston at top dead centre there, and I've got the gasket over it. You see that the piston just comes up through it a little, which is normal on a Cub. But there's not a great margin on the gasket in any case between the hole for the piston or the cylinder and those oil holes. And by the time you place a gasket on the head, you'll see that the edge of the gasket is very, very close to the combustion chamber, and this combustion chamber has actually been radiused out a little in the past to clear that plus 60 piston. You can see there's quite a bit more of a margin on this cylinder head here for the oil holes compared to that one, but I would think that for this cylinder head to go over the plus 60 piston, that would have to be radiused out a little as well, which is a bit of a shame. So I'm going to put that one back on the shelf. I'm also going to make sure that the head gasket, where it's been stamped out, obviously there's a slight bias on the edge there where the stamping machine has punched through it, so I'm going to make sure that that slightly raised edge as a result of the stamping goes against the cylinder head side when I put it on. I'm also going to anneal it. I'm going to heat it cherry red, drop it in cold water, coat both sides with well seal, which is what I did with the old gasket, by the way. But the old gasket, I actually reused it. I re-annealed it, so it may have already had a slight problem that I hadn't seen. Here it is. So I'm going to change the gasket, put it all back together again after cleaning up the gasket face of the head, and cross my fingers. I'm pretty sure, well, I know for definite that that was the culprit. It's just down to whether or not I've sorted the problem. I'm going to clean everything up now, put it all back together. Once again, I decided against taking the valves out because I thought it was obvious with the piston ring gap being huge, the oil ring, and I thought I'd nailed it. Now I've seen this, and I think I've nailed it. The back of the inlet valve and the stem and the guide look completely clean and oil free, spotless. I'm pretty sure that they had nothing to do with it and that this was the problem. So I'm going to get ready to put it all back together now. Cross my fingers, and hopefully at last the smoke might be gone. And we'll find out soon, no doubt. Well, here's my Tiger Cub, still raised on the bike lift, and I've got the cylinder head back on after cleaning up and smoothing out and refacing the gasket face slightly. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that might be enough to make the oil, the return oil from the inlet rocker box, go down past the head gasket and down through the barrel and back into the crankcase as it's supposed to, rather than getting sucked into the cylinder by the piston. So I'm going to do a bit of climbing in a minute, and I'll put this here and I'll just go up and start up and see what we've got. What will be will be. Hopefully, fingers crossed, there might be less smoke. Let's see. hot little return junction at the bottom of the oil tank there. Hoping that this time might actually be onto something. So here comes some smoke. Now maybe I will have to use that other cylinder head. Oh, hang on. Give it the benefit of the doubt for a while. I'm going to warm it up. Who knows, it might be alright. I'm going to switch the camera off now, keep warming this up for a few minutes. It's nearly lunchtime, see how it goes. I'd like to think that I've at least made some improvement, all being well. I mean, as I maintained, it wasn't really using a lot of oil or even making a lot of smoke, but the oil was going onto the spark plug and snuffing it out. I think what's probably going to happen is I'm probably going to have to try and get a few miles on it and see how things are looking after that. It's ticking over slower. It sounds richer as well, which is that's promising. Obviously the mixture has changed, because before the fuel air mixture would have been weakened by all the oil going in. So the fact that it seems richer now could be a good thing. Let's just nudge the air screw out a little. Yeah, that was about a quarter of a turn out on the mixture screw. And that's got rid of that 8-strokey. You know, I think we could be alright here. That's looking a lot cleaner. I think progress has been made. So watch this space for another ride soon anyway. I'm not going to bore everybody with me just standing here revving the engine for the next 10 minutes or whatever. But if I'm happy with it, I'll get it off the bike lift, and subject to the weather, maybe get a run on it soon. Definitely say that's better.